Open-minded. Yes, be open-minded, whether it's in learning something new, whether it's a skill, whether it's a culture, whether it's a language, whether it's through networking. At the end of the day, be open-minded. You don't know everything. You never will. And every day we need to learn to be able to challenge ourselves and be humble enough to know that I don't know, but I'm open-minded to learning. I don't know, but I'm open-minded to understand something I don't know. For example, when you travel to a country or a community or a different place, the most respectful thing to do is to have an interest. You want to learn the language. You don't have to learn math. You can start with the salutation. And then from the salutation, you can find what's a common ground. And you can find maybe it's a type of meal. And you can say, maybe I know this meal. Maybe it's not made in the way I know it, but I can try that. Or maybe it's an outdoor place you can go, finding a common ground with those who are in that area. That way, you end up breaking that ice of defensiveness, because if you don't know someone and they approach you, automatically defense mode comes in, because you're trying to protect yourself, because you don't know if the other person is coming with good or bad intent. And the most, I think, dumb thing I see a lot is when someone, the first conversation they approach, they bring politics to the table. Nobody this time and age really wants to have the first conversation about what politician 1, 2, or 3, 5, 6 are doing at the time. Not that they want to be ignorant, is because there are times when you just need your peace of mind. You just want to escape from everything. Not for long though, but not being unrealistic, but trying to say, hey, this is on my control space at the time. This is not my under my control space. And I've seen this a lot, where someone either will travel and I meet them, and the first conversation will be like politics about your country, and I'm telling them, really, when you came, that's the only thing that you saw. There are like so many things, like you can travel, like seriously, politics, and it's very discouraging. And I've seen it when I've traveled to other countries, and I've seen some people do it in that some type of way, and you're thinking, you know what, you don't need to argue with anyone. You just dip. You just pretend you're taking something, and you exit that environment, because we are living in time and times where even politicians are doing things that scratch your head and thinking, wow, they're not hiding their greed, they're not hiding their corruption, they're not hiding the wickedness they are doing, they're not hiding it anymore. They're like telling you, what will you do about it? If you rise up, they're like, oh, 1 minute, security forces are called, all, whether intelligence, military, police, name them all. Next thing you know, you're gone. You're gone. Like either you'll find your skin on some place, or I don't know. The thing is, be open-minded to learning something new, and finding a middle ground is the most important thing. Finding a ground, a place whereby you can have a normal conversation without poking one another. There's so much beauty in this life. Every country has something that's special and is beautiful. There's something that a country looks up and upholds. It can have all the messes, whether it's natural disasters, whether it's politics, whether it's conflicts, but there's always going to be this one small thing that makes them feel at home. Find that place and now start from there, because we are living in very interesting times. And if you're not careful and cautious, you might prick someone, and that small prick can lead you into a whirlwind of trouble. We are living in times whereby if you utter a word, the next thing you're trending on a particular social media of what she said, he said, kind of a situation. So I always say, be open-minded, because at the end of the day, we really don't know everything. You don't know today, you don't know tomorrow. If we did, I don't think we'd want to prepare for some things. We'd have knowledge first, but yeah, those are part of our limitations. And it's always good to be open-minded to say, hey, I don't know this, and I'm humble enough to want to learn. Would you or can you teach me? If they refuse to teach you, no worries, move to the next one. And if they don't, do your own research. Part of how I've grown in life is not really helped me in some many areas. I just said, fine. Then I figured it out. Wasn't easy, but I did it. And then the same people come back and say, oh, how did you figure it? I'm like, really? After what you did, screw you. Move on. Why would I say most of these things? I have a medical issue that has been a challenge for pretty much only got to us from 6 years ago, but the incident that triggered it was, let's say, 2013. Intern, very naive, taken for a lunch. Lunch wasn't lunch. Lunch was supposed to be my last lunch. Figure that out. And whatever poison was in their food ended up eating me in the inside. Before I know it, 6 years later, I'm doing a endoscopy, colonoscopy. I mean, I've gone through. And what was the most painful thing, and has been to this very day, the painful thing is even in interaction. You'll hear people, because the types of meals I take, actually, I normally say my meals are not tasty. They are healthy, but they're not tasty, because it's a boiled affair, and I don't go into that detail. However, why am I going with this? Is because my experience, I've learned how people treat others because they don't want to learn or know something. Someone will tell me something like, you have issues with your stomach, I think maybe you should have never lived, or stuff like that. Very cruel words, and I've heard it from people I totally respect. And now, adding to that, this other injury of my shoulder, which came out, which now I have to figure how to use my arm again, which I still can't carry anything beyond 2 kgs. Actually, I can only lift it down, pull it down, but I can't lift it up. Still a struggle. I may not look like it, but yeah, one of those things you keep quiet and move on with life. And one thing you learn, someone will tell you, is because you can't do ABCD, I think you'll be a burden. I think you'll be this. I think you'll be that. And I laugh and I say, hey, I'm still here and I've been doing it on my own. And yeah, last I checked, I'm still alive. And what hurts is the lack of interest for someone to say, hey, you're going through a particular issue. You can't take a particular meal. What can you take? Or what can we try and learn? And when someone says something like that, I'm like, interesting to listen. And that pricks the interest, and you're like, okay, fine, this is ABCD, and that starts up a conversation, and you feel like you're part of something. It's like someone who's disabled and they were not disabled from birth, or let's say they were disabled from birth. How do you think they feel when they want, let's say they're using a wheelchair and there's no ramp for them? There's no parking for someone who's disabled, because where the signboard has been put, someone puts their car there. There is no, and that hurts me a lot, because you're thinking, what happens to them if there is a class or a particular place, there's no one for them who are for science? They're not even that interested, like they don't exist. And so for someone who has a disability or has a particular special need, they feel left out, because the problem with the society, most people, three-quarter actually, don't want to learn. They're like, they expect you to come perfect. You are born with every part, but guess what? No. And that person who's special needs or has that disability or that injury, guess what? They're 10 times smarter than the person who has it all. And that's reality of life. And many people end up feeling, you feel isolated, because now you can't get into conversations because people are already judging you because of your physical. You can't get to conversation because people are judging you because of the limitations that you have. Not like these are limitations you chose. And that becomes the sad reality of life. And that's all I say. If you don't know something, create an interest. If you can't create an interest and you're having a conversation with someone and you realize your conversation is wrong and is very off, just shut the hell up. Simple. Just zip it. Or change the whole conversation to something that is healthy and a middle ground. But we live in times whereby whether it's a GIF, whether it's a meme, people are just getting worse and worse at it. People are becoming so inhuman and very desensitized, to a point whereby if you have a different deficiency, let's say blood deficiency, and your skin is a particular color, they'll give you a nickname, or they say we don't need you. And in some countries and cultures I've come to learn, they'll even think you are someone special for a ritual. It's the saddest thing in life. I always say, if you don't know something, just learn. Create the interest to learn. You don't know everything. Have that interest and say, hey, I think I knew this. I learned I don't know. That's why when you go to school, you're thinking you're smart until you meet the smart one. Then you realize, yeah, maybe I'm an average student at this point in time. But the thing is, just because you don't know doesn't mean you shouldn't create the interest to know. Create that interest. Know something new. Be open-minded to challenge yourself, to challenge your thought, to challenge everything you thought and believe. And don't approach it from a biased point of view. Approach it with facts and with a very open mind. Every day, there's something new to learn. Just be open-minded about it.